I walked to my daughter's door on Christmas Eve, where I had spent 6 years, $2,400 a month paying on her behalf. But she coldly said, "What are you doing here? Tonight is family, really." I quietly left, my heart broken by the betrayal. But I came back not to ask for entry, but to set boundaries for myself. Revenge? No, it's justice. Before we continue, please subscribe and let us know where you're listening in the comments. Spokane at the end of December is cold and dry. A skin of snow sticks to my boot soles. I'm standing on the porch step with a Safeway bag. Inside it, a pumpkin pie, a bottle of red, and a gift box wrapped in reindeer paper. Behind my daughter, a Christmas tree brushes the ceiling, yellow lights blinking, cinnamon and vanilla braided into the living room's warmth. The door is cracked open. She glances over her shoulder and speaks low but crisp. "What are you doing here, Dad? Tonight is for family, really." She leans on really. I hear it. I lift the bag a little. "I brought pie and gifts for the kids." The wrapping paper glints under the porch light. Her husband steps out. Gray sweater, a polite smile. "Hey, Dad, we've got plans tonight. Everything's already set." His eyes pass over my work boots and stop at the smear of dried paint on my pant leg. "Maybe another time, okay?" I look into the living room. Stockings hang from the mantel, names stitched on each one. I see my grandkids' names. I don't see mine. On the shelf by the door, there's a printed gift exchange list. My name isn't on that either. "I just wanted to have dinner with the family," I say slowly, keeping my voice level. "It's been a while." She swallows and avoids my eyes. "Dad, you won't fit the vibe. His side's coming over. There's a dress code. You understand." A woman peeks from the kitchen into the hall. "Almost time to eat, Jen. Let's not block the doorway." The smile is polite and cold. Jen. In my head, she's still little Jen. She looks at me, then over her shoulder. "Are you heading out, Dad?" Light as breath, but it closes a door. I set the Safeway bag on the rug, take out the gift box, and place it on the shoe rack. "These are for the kids. Hand them over for me." I tug my coat sleeve. The Timex on my wrist ticks. 4:12. A beat slides across the quiet. She murmurs, hand still on the latch. Her husband stands there, courteous as a sign that says, "Private event." "Merry Christmas," I say. I back up one step, then another, out onto the porch. Wind rattles the wreath with a light clatter. I look at the box. Yesterday afternoon, I sanded the wooden frame inside until it was smooth. In the photo, she's 8 in a red dress. I'm holding her beside a small tree. A trace of wood still clings to my hands. I go down the steps. Across the street, a couple of kids roll in the thin snow, laughing hard. I zip my coat. At the curb, I open the F-150. The driver's seat is ice cold. I sit for a few seconds, hands on the wheel. In the mirror, their door eases shut. The Eve lights flicker in the wind. The Timex ticks. I open the center console and pull out an old Christmas card. The year she turned 10. Childish letters. "Daddy, you're my Christmas miracle." I've kept that card more than 10 years. Every winter I read it again. Today the words are still warm. The house behind me isn't. The phone buzzes. In the family group chat, a photo of the tree goes up with the caption, "Family time." A few people tap hearts. I'm not in it. I lock the screen. I turn on the heat. Warm air fogs the glass. I pull a red binder from the glove box. On the spine, a label, Jen's house. Inside, copies of the mortgage, insurance, taxes, and receipts for the payments. The number prints in my head as clearly as type. $2,400 a month. Year after year, I used to think that was love. Maybe it is. And maybe I've also been paying their share of respect. The wind shifts and the neighbor's tree shivers. I remember another night, same season. She was 5. I read the Christmas story a third time. She fell asleep, head on my shoulder, her breath smelling like milk. "Daddy, one more," she mumbled in her dream. I read it one more time. I always gave one more. The phone buzzes again. A text from an unknown number. Hello, I'm Rosa, Jen's neighbor. I saw you at the door. I heard them say family only, and it made me mad. I took this picture for you. If you need anything, I'm here. It's a shot of the hallway with the wreath. Her husband's body blocks most of the frame. I look at it a beat longer than I should. Thank you, Rosa, I write back. I save the photo to a private folder. At Christmas, sometimes angels wear hooded parkas. I check the time. 4:38. The bank's open till 5 on Saturdays. I draw a long breath. I wrench the wheel of memory back to the present. I close the binder and set it on the passenger seat. I think about the last time I was in their place before Christmas. I brought my toolbox and bent over the kitchen cabinet hinges. She stood there with a red holiday latte cup. Don't track your boots on the white floors, Dad. I slipped off the boots and walked in socks on cold tile, tightened 4 screws, added a shim. When I finished, I wiped it all down. She nodded and turned away. No, thank you. I told myself she was busy. Not tonight. I click the heat off for a moment so I can listen. Outside, there's only the wind and the faint jingle of the hanging lights. Inside the cab, it's as quiet as an empty room. I look at my hands on the wheel, knuckles rough and ridged. A tradesman's hands halfway through a life. Hands that carried a child across icy streets, built tables, hung lights, smooth wallpaper. Tonight, those hands just need to let go. Let go of the hope that love comes without conditions. Let go of paying, fixing, absorbing it all. I open the gift on the back seat and look over the wooden frame one more time. I close the lid and cinch the ribbon tight. Presents should reach the people they're meant for, even when the grown-ups don't want the giver. I get out, carry the box back to the porch. I press the bell once. The porch light flickers. No one comes. I set the box at the edge of the mat, right beneath the wreath. I tap the door twice with my knuckles, soft, matching the dad's home rhythm from when she was small. Down the block, a utility truck rolls by. Amber beacon sweeping the thin snow. I head back to the pickup. The Timex on my wrist jumps a notch. Tick, tock. I turn the key. Tires ease over ice. Through the windshield, the house still glows. The fireplace still alive. A warm world I've been paying for. Tonight, there isn't a chair for me. At the corner, a red light holds me for a few dozen seconds. I look at my hands again. Old calluses. A scar across the index finger from a saw that jumped years ago. I hear myself say very quietly, respect is rent. You stopped paying a long time ago. Green. I shift gears. The road ahead climbs into snow-covered hills. I switch on the fog lights. The phone buzzes. A bank email flashes. The automated notice whose template I know by heart. I don't open it. I don't need more words to know what comes next. Merry Christmas, kid, I say into the empty cab. I won't knock again. From here on out, the paperwork will. I open contacts. My finger scrolls through names I know too well. The one I need sits between Dave Foreman and Fairview Club. I stop. Look for a second. Tap. It rings. Once, then twice. No pickup. Holiday hours. I fold the phone, set it face down on the passenger seat, and drive straight up the icy grade. From now on, the paperwork will knock, I've told myself. Morning of the 26th, Boise wakes cold and clear, a pale blue light slipping through the blinds like mist. My kitchen is quiet. The oak table carries old scratches. The Mr. Coffee hums and drips. The Idaho Statesman lies rolled on the windowsill beneath the snow globe. I pull open a drawer and take out the ledger. The summary page opens like it already knows what I came for. In my wife's blue ink, a big line waits there. $2,400 per month times 72 months equals $172,800. I set a yellow sticky on the page edge and write 30 days. I nod. From this minute on, everything gets a deadline. I flip open the laptop. The bank app asks for a code. The text arrives. I enter it. It asks for another. The wind makes the Wi-Fi hiccup, so I switch to mobile data. My hands are numb, one holding the coffee, the other typing. I review every recurring transfer. I stop the rent payments for Maya and Colin. A small window pops. Confirmed termination of automatic transfers starting next cycle. I hit agree. I remove the authorized user on the credit card. The system asks for a reason. I select personal financial adjustment. Add no more words. I make a 3-item checklist so I won't fat finger anything. Stop the rent transfers, remove the card user, move utilities into the account holder's name within 30 days. I take screenshots and print them on the old HP under the stairs. The printer coughs, then feeds the page out. The edges are warm and a little rough. I say a line under my breath like I'm setting the lock for the morning. No anger needed, just line items and receipts. The wall clock says 8:12. Business services opens at 9. I close the ledger. Time to go. The parking lot at the First Boise Bank branch on Vista Avenue is slick with ice. I park tight to the curb. The post-holiday line is long. In the lobby, there's a bowl of peppermint candies on the counter, a holiday hours sign hanging crooked. I fill out the form in black ink, write slowly so the letters are clear. The teller smiles professionally, but her eyes run the paperwork the way a gatekeeper does. What can we do for you this morning? Stop the automatic rent transfer, remove an authorized user from the card, and lower limits on a linked account. I open the ledger and flip to the page with photos of prior transfers. She calls a manager. He asks one more question about relationship and authority to stop. I hand over my license, then an old receipt with my name on it. We'll need a wet signature here, he says, setting a revocation form in front of me. I sign. The stamp comes down with a single, clean thunk. Processed December 26th, 9:41. I check my watch, still in time, before the system runs the old cue at 10. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Colin's name lights up. I let it buzz out, then kill the ring. I look again at the red stamp drying on the receipt, slide it into a manila folder. I don't argue, I execute orders. The sentence passes through my head like muscle memory. I head for the door. Cold air slaps my face, sharp as a gulp of strong coffee. I sit on a bench at Cassia Park at 10:18. My breath turns to a thin smoke. I pull my beanie low over my ears and call Idaho Power. The hold music tinkles a slow knoll. The rep asks for an email to send confirmation. I state plainly I'm transferring payment responsibility into the user's name within 30 days, and I need a confirmation code and instructions for their new deposit. She reads the code. I copy it into the ledger. I call Intermountain Gas next. The call drops at the 1-minute mark. The system's auto limit. I call back and ask for a formal note. They email it with a string of numbers as proof. I sit straighter and look at the pond, a thin crust of ice reflecting the washed-out sky. Goodwill ends. The clock starts. Saying it out loud lifts something off my chest. Maple Ridge Property Management's office sits on a little street with a glass door and a taped-up holiday calendar. Inside, one person is on desk duty. Badge reads Kara. I hand over my letter. I'm a voluntary sponsor, not a co-signer on the lease. This letter serves as notice that my support ends. If needed, I will pay one final month equal to the rent as a courtesy, and from next month, the tenants pay on their own. Kara reads end to end, her eyes stopping at the note that says, 30-day utility transition. On the books, we don't change lease names mid-term, but I can add a reminder in their tenant portal. We'll also file this letter in the record. Please do, Kara types. The monitor's glow reflects in the glass. Reminder added, and I've received your letter. She stamps it. The sound of the seal meeting paper is crisp, satisfying. Out on the sidewalk, noon light slants through the glass and paints a bright strip across the ledger in my hand. The snow globe on my windowsill will see a different season by the time I set it back in its place. I tell myself that and let my shoulders unclench. In the afternoon, I swing by the Albertsons on Cole Road for some dry goods. The post-Christmas end caps are piled with cookies, cards, and ribbon. The speakers play a slow jazz, "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." Under the white lights, I pick a bag of coffee and some fruit. Pushing the cart out to the lot, my phone starts buzzing nonstop. Maya's voicemail, breath quick. "I'm at checkout. They said the card declined. Dad, pick up." A minute later, "The power company says we have to put down a deposit or in 30 days they'll shut it off." Then Colin calls, rings hammering. I leave it all be and listen to the wind slide across the empty parking rows. A brief ache taps behind my eyes. I slide into the driver's seat, open notes, screenshot the missed calls, save the timestamps. I open voicemail and let the machine capture their messages, not to collect pain, so that, when needed, I can say little and say enough. When the phone clock flips to 2:32, I open my calendar. One line sits there in bold. 11:30 a.m. tomorrow, Richards and Associates. I look at the document bag on the passenger seat. Inside, bank receipts with fresh stamps, the confirmations from Power and Gas, the support termination letter with the property manager's received stamp, the photos of each on-screen confirmation. The manila packet bulges a bit, like a tradesman's stomach after a neat lunch. I start the engine and drive home through a downtown slipping out of the holidays. On my sill, the snow globe still catches the last light. I turn it once. Tiny flakes swirl around the little glass house and settle slow. I set it back in its place. On the table, the ledger lies open beside a fresh cup of coffee. The phone buzzes again. Maya's voicemail plays. Panic in her voice, but less swagger now. "I need you to call me back. They said we have to put down a deposit within 30 days. I listen through. Don't answer yet. I stack the papers into a packet. Whisper 3 words like a breathing count. Breathe, stack, sign. When I tap the kitchen light off, the warm spill from the office lamp lays a soft stripe across the wood floor. Tomorrow I'll go to the lawyers. Not to let lawsuits take center stage, to shift this story into its proper language. Deadlines, numbers, signatures. I look over the room once more. No loud music like the parties other people throw. Just the sound of papers brushing and the wall clock stepping past the hour. And in that quiet, I hear the one thing I have to hold on to, the right thing. I kill the light and pull the door. The phone screen blooms in the dark, reminding me again about tomorrow's appointment. I set it face down and let the house fall asleep in the calm that comes when things sit where they belong. The new house stayed quiet for 5 minutes before the phone started pulsing again, Maya's name blinking, then Colin's. I let it go until the wall clock hit 9:17. Then I answered. "Dad, why didn't you pick up?" Maya's voice was thick, crying and angry at once. "I'm embarrassed in front of the neighbors. I don't understand what's happening. Why did you cut everything? You shut it off without notice." Colin cut in, his breathing steady and cold. "At your age, you should know how to respect people." I sat up, pressed my back to the wall, straightened, looked at my hands on the oak table. "I've picked up, and I'm going to answer once clearly." "Why didn't you answer all afternoon?" Maya asked again, like she only needed one sorry to push everything back where it was. "Because this afternoon I was stopping the things that should have been stopped long ago," I said slowly. "I'm not a no-string sponsor anymore. Rent, the authorized card, utilities, everything goes into the user's name within 30 days. From now on, this moves on paper, not on emotion." "You're punishing me," Maya snapped. "I'm your daughter." "You're a grown woman, 28, I said. "Grown people pay their share. I've carried $2,400 a month for 72 months, $172,800 for rent and utilities alone, not counting the rest. Today I stop." Colin gave a dry laugh. "What are you trying to prove? That you have money? That you can crush your own daughter with numbers? Funny. You can ignore calls and cut us off, but you'll have to listen when people find out what you did. What are you planning to do?" I asked, still even. "I'll tell people. The neighborhood groups, social media. I'll say you abandoned your daughter at Christmas, shut off power and water. Filthy move." I watched the snow globe. the white plastic flakes falling slow. You have the right to talk. I have the record. I won't argue tonight. Tomorrow we speak in writing. You're threatening me with the law. Maya was almost sobbing. I'm telling you the rules of the new game. I closed. If you want to continue, be ready to check your mail and sign for delivery. Good night. I hung up. The kitchen fell quiet again. I opened the ledger, flipped to the page where my wife once wrote in blue ink, 2,400 per month x 72 months, John $172,800. In the margin, a faint pencil note, don't keep feeding a habit with money. I stuck on a yellow note and wrote 3 short lines. 30 days, demand letter, proof of receipt. Next morning, Boise was skin-cracking cold. I poured coffee and cracked the back door to let the air in. The phone showed more messages from the night before. I didn't read them. I chose a heavy coat, slid the ledger into my bag, put the snow globe in my pocket. On the drive to the law office, snow banked along the curbs in gray ridges, and the cars rolled slow on salt. The lobby at Richards & Associates was paneled in wood, the lighting a soft gold. The receptionist looked up, asked for my appointment. 11:30, Art Monroe. The elevator was down for maintenance. I took the stairs 3 flights, hand braced on a rail that burned with cold. I'd barely sat when Margaret Richards slid a thick stack toward me. I read your summary. We'll draft a 30-day demand for written response with the basis spelled out: education, housing, expenses, holidays. But I recommend we keep a neutral tone. I agree, I said. Just make it clear. She walked each item, underlined numbers, added conditions. If they have or will defame you, you may request a correction. This letter itself won't publish full names or specifics, only confirms relationship and figures to avoid unnecessary provocation. I signed page by page, wet signatures in blue ink. The wall clock read 11:58. The red seal hit the final page with a tidy post sound. Margaret clipped 6 copies into manila folders and slid one across to me. Get it delivered to the right hands. Don't call, don't text. Let the paperwork knock. Leaving the law office, I swung by Flying M for a to-go coffee. The lid snapped on with a neat click. Back home, the old printer wheezed. I powered up, grouped the documents into 3 subsets with clear labels. A for housing and utilities, B for education and living costs, C for the 30-day transfer timeline with confirmation codes. Page 3 jammed in the tray. I popped the lid and pulled it. The corner smudged. Out of ink. I drove to the shop next to Albertsons, bought a cartridge, paid cash to be quick. Back at the table, I printed again. This time, the pages fed clean, the type dark. I binder clipped each set and slid them into thick covers. The phone buzzed. An alert from the Idaho Statesman. Please provide 50 words responding to a community rumor regarding family financial assistance. Deadline 2:01 p.m. I grabbed my coat and walked to the Greenbelt. The Boise River path was empty, breath lifting thin in the air. I sat on a wooden bench, opened the phone, typed, erased, typed again. In the end, I kept it to 49 words. I have supported my family with money and time for many years, with full documentation. Today, I'm moving every dispute onto paper. The other party has 30 days to respond in writing. I won't argue on social media. The facts live on paper. I sent it. The inbox pinged. Received. I pulled into the postal annex on Vista Ave at 2:18. The counter was crowded with late holiday shippers. The clerk asked briskly, certified or regular? Certified with signature required, I said. If no one's home, she asked, have the building desk sign, photograph the ID, but don't leave it at the door. I wrote the addresses, the recipients' names as familiar as the lines on my hand. She stuck on the green labels, stamped 229, handed me tracking numbers and a green return signature card. I tucked everything into the bag and felt lighter by 1 notch, like setting the first solid brick in a wall. Driving back, the phone buzzed for something else. Colin had started. A long post in the neighborhood group, riding the high horse. A father abandoning his daughter on the holiday, cutting everything, even power and water. The header photo was their front yard tree with blinking lights. Dozens of comments below, some pity, some eager to judge. I skimmed, added no reaction. I screenshotted, saved the timestamps, closed the phone. A few minutes later, a text flashed. Rosa Park, 2 houses down from Maya, sent short. If you need me to say what I've seen all these years, say when. I wrote back, thank you. I'll call if needed. Keep it quiet for now. She sent a single dot, meaning understood. I got home and set the folders on the table. The ledger lay open to a fresh page. I wrote the first line, day 0 known, awaiting proof of delivery. I put water on, poured a cup. The computer screen stayed on the tracking dashboard. The little lines climbed with no feeling. In transit, out for delivery, awaiting signature. I listened to the salt truck outside and the wind tapping the back door. 90 minutes later, the first notice hit my phone from the postal system. Out for delivery. I checked the clock. 5:12. While I waited, I opened the paper online. The statesman sent confirmation. The 49-word response would run in the short opinion slot at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Under it, a single line from the editor. We prioritize documents. I closed the mail. The phone buzzed again. Maya. I didn't answer. Text piled on text. Don't make this a big deal. I'm embarrassed. Friends are asking, answer them. Colin says if you keep going, he'll take it all the way. I set the phone face down and drew a long breath. On the monitor, a window blinked. Delivered, signed by M. Anders, 5:41 p.m. The line was compact, black. I felt my heartbeat slow, steady as the kitchen clock. I took a pen and wrote in the ledger, day begins, 30-day deadline, 4:59 p.m., January 26. I set the snow globe on the folder, a small habit to mark a thing done. Rosa texted one more line. Our block meets Friday night. There are minutes. You can attend as a guest. I replied, thank you. I closed the ledger and drew a line under day 0. I hadn't stood up when another alert came in. Idaho Statesman. Your piece will run on the front of the local section at 9 a.m. At the same time, a call from an unknown number didn't pick up. A minute later, new comments piled under Colin's post. A user with a throwaway handle shared a screenshot of some slice of my spreadsheet. Something cribbed from somewhere, stripped of context. I didn't rush. I opened a prepared note, one paragraph. Please direct all official questions to my attorney. I confirm that I have sent a demand for response within 30 days, signature on file. I will not comment further on social media. I pasted it into a reply to one reporter who'd messaged earlier. Nowhere else. Night dropped fast. I locked the doors and bumped the thermostat one notch. Before I killed the kitchen light, I looked over the table. The ledger, the folders, the yellow note with 3 lines, the snow globe. I said a short line under my breath, like reading it to myself. Truth lives on paper, not in the noise. In the living room dark, the phone buzzed one more time. Colin wrote a few words on his personal page. People who like to teach with money are about to learn. I didn't answer. In the morning, the paper would be out. The venue had changed. From here on, the clock and the signatures would do the talking. My morning started at 7, a little later than usual. I opened the ledger. The page my wife once wrote on in blue ink was still there, steady as the habit I'd kept for too long. $2,400 a month. Times 72 months, $172,800. In the margin, the old pencil note, don't keep feeding a habit with money. I stuck on a fresh, sticky note and wrote 4 words. Neighborhood meeting tonight. I dialed the number on the notice Rosa sent. It rang twice before someone picked up. Harrison Hills Community Office. This is Rick. This is Art Monroe, a guest of resident Rosa Park. I'd like to register for a 3-minute comment at tonight's meeting. Topic is financial responsibility within a family and how the community should handle online defamation. You're not a resident, correct? I'm attending with Rosa. She's extended me a simple invitation. Silence for a few seconds. The sound of thin calendar pages turning. Rules allow invited guests 3 minutes. No personal names, no attacks. You'll submit a one-page summary for the board to keep on file. Understood. I'll bring 10 copies. Name, please. Art Monroe. Doors open at 6:40. Sign the form before entering. Come early. Seats go fast. I'll be there. A text from Rosa arrived right after. I vouch for your slot. Just come early. I typed back 2 words. Thank you. In the office, the old HP printer wheezed again. I swapped in paper, ran a test. The font jumped. I shut it down, booted up, reset the size, and left margin exactly how Margaret told me. I clipped the materials into a manila folder. The total for housing and utilities, dates, amounts, the education and living support itemized, the proof of service for the demand letter, and the 30-day clock starting yesterday. On the cover, I put neat labels. Board, community, witness. Don't get greedy with detail, Margaret reminded me, her hand sweeping each header as I brought over a print. You speak 90 seconds. Let the documents do the rest. Remember 3 things. The amount, the deadline, the no names rule. I'll stick to it. And if they ask about social media, don't plead your case. Say, I won't argue there. I file paper here. I nodded. 90 seconds. Then quiet. The printer jammed again on the 10th run. I popped the lid, eased the sheet out, let the curled page cool on the desk. The ink light blinked low. I pulled a cash envelope from the drawer, swung by the office supply store, and bought the cheapest cartridge left. Back home, I snapped it in and finished the last 2 sets. 12 packets stacked into a tidy pile, edges squared like a ruler line. Rosa met me at a cafe on 8th. Espresso scented the place, music low, people moving briskly in and out of the cold. She sat in the corner, a paper cup printed with a heart beside her. What are you going to say tonight? She asked. I'll read a short opening, then I'll hand out the packet. 3 minutes. No names, no private stories, just conduct and principles. Rosa nodded, eyes focused through her glasses. If needed, I can say I've seen you bring supplies for years, fix the sink, shovel snow, swap a receptacle. I won't judge. I'll just say what I've seen. That's enough. I slid over a slim folder. This is the one-page summary. Figures, timeline. See if the wording reads clean. Rosa read slowly. Simple, clear. I'm stopping third-party payments, transferring responsibility to the user with 30 days notice. I ask the community to uphold respect and avoid defamation when we disagree. Right, and I need one more confirmation from their property manager. I lowered my voice. Kara promised a receipt acknowledging my cessation of payments, plus a line noting utilities transfer within 30 days. Margaret drafted a template. They just fill and sign. Will they dare sign it? I'm not forcing anyone. I'm asking them to state what's already in their records. My phone buzzed. New email. From Kara. Attached PDF. Fully filled out. Wet signature. Date. Received stamp. I opened it, zoomed in. The language was tight, no sentiment. Voluntary payer, name Art Monroe, has stopped recurring transfers. Users to assume responsibility starting next month. I let out a breath the way a drill spins down after cutting through a board. It's in, Rosa smiled. Then tonight you've got a milestone. I'm only worried about running over 3 minutes. Read slow, short, true. Sakutaford. I sat 5 more minutes and practiced the opening under my breath. 90 seconds. Not one extra line. We stood. Rosa wrapped her scarf and tapped my shoulder. Be on time. Before heading home, I swung by the law office again to print Kara's email. Margaret checked it fast and stapled a copy into each packet. You're set. Be on time. Don't change a word last minute. The neighborhood hall lot was packed just like you'd expect. A thin crust of snow laid white stripes over the hoods. I circled until I found a spot along the fence and pulled in tight. The doors opened when the dash clock touched 6:40. People moved in and out, heavy coats, wool scarves, soles thumping on gray carpet. Rick looked up from the desk, shook his head at the crowd, then saw me and waved. Mr. Monroe, good you're early. Here's the speaker form. Put your topic here. Remember, no names, no insults. I wrote slowly, financial responsibility, boundaries, how the community handles misinformation. Rick glanced and nodded. Good. I'm submitting 12 handout sets for the board. Can you route them so they're distributed at the right time? Yes, I'll take them straight to the chair and the clerk. He pulled a stamp from the drawer and thunked a receipt. You keep this copy. I clipped on a guest badge and stood back against the wall to get the room in my eye. I'd never been in here. Straight rows of wooden chairs, gray carpet, the heater blowing a steady warm. On the wall a sign, no soliciting, no personal disputes, maintain order. Rosa came in a few minutes later, greeted security and pointed me out. He's with me, she told them by the book. Guest speaker. Rick came back to the counter and held out his hand. I passed him a USB. He plugged it into a designated machine, confirmed the file opened, read only, and nodded. Read only, no rights. Good. Paper packets? I brought all 12. I set the manila folders on the counter. Rick checked the labels. Board, office copies, resident request copies. All here. The stamp met paper with a crisp sound. Received. We're crowded tonight. The public comment slot won't fit everyone. The chair will roll the unspoken remarks, including our guest, Mr. Art Monroe, invited by resident Rosa Park, into Friday's community forum at 7. I'll email confirmation right now. My phone buzzed. Colin's new live stream went up with an overlong headline. I left the sound off. I grabbed 4 clear screenshots of his face and the words on screen. Saved them. Filed them in the evidence folder. Left it. I'll sit over here, Rosa touched my elbow lightly. On Friday when it's your turn, you step to the center aisle mic. 3 minutes. The bell will sound at time. I understand. I looked at the room from her spot, measured the distance, mic height, exits. People kept filing in. The heater carried a faint hot metal smell. I looked at the packet stack already on the board's table. Yellow covers, labels neat. I tapped my coat pocket. The small snow globe lay cool under the lining. No need to take it out. Just need to know it's there. Rosa, I said quietly. If anyone asks, you say only what you've seen. No more, no less. I know, she smiled. I've rehearsed it in my head. Rick lifted the gavel and struck 3 times. The room settled. The chair greeted everyone and read the regular items. In the announcements, he stated clearly, due to the number of sign-ups, those we cannot hear tonight, including the guest of resident Rosa Park, Mr. Art Monroe, will be heard at the community forum this Friday at 7 p.m. in this room. Written submissions are accepted into the record and will be routed to the board this evening. Rosa tilted her head. So that's set. Yeah, I said. I sat still and just observed. A salt and pepper-haired man reminded everyone of the no names rule. A young woman asked how documents are verified. The chair said records will be kept and viewing scheduled through the office. I noted times, names, process, no debate, no stepping in. My phone buzzed. An email from the community office. Received 12 packets, read-only USB, first speaking slot confirmed. Community forum, Friday, 7-ish p.m. I checked the file format and locked the screen. I snapped one more frame of Colin's live stream sliding past my feed and filed it alongside the receipt in the same folder. When the session ended, the hallway was tight with bodies. Rick passed by and dropped his voice for me. Friday, be here 15 minutes early. I'll have the mic and projector set. Security will be on. I'm grateful for the process, I said. Process exists to keep order, he said with a small smile. I zipped my coat and stepped into the cold. The lot was full. Breath smoked in the air. I slid my hand into my pocket and touched the snow globe. We'd rehearsed. The next scene is the real scene. In the truck, I looked over the remaining folders on the passenger seat. One last check. 12 sets. One USB that reads, the receipt email, the live stream screenshots, the contact list. I spoke very softly, only for myself. 3 minutes. 12 sets. One truth. I started the engine. Headlights sliced through old snow. Back home, I opened the ledger and wrote one clean line. Day 2, schedule locked, 7 p.m., Friday. I closed the book and killed the kitchen light. The countdown continued. Morning in Boise is cold and dry. The digital sign outside the community center flips to 6:42. I arrived 15 minutes early, just like Rick said. The glass doors reflect tail lights against the gray snow. I touch my coat pocket. The small snow globe is still there. My other hand grips the handle of the case with 12 packets, a read-only USB, a printed affidavit from Leah, the postal proof of delivery with signature, and the bank receipt stamped on the 26th. The lobby opens. Rick lifts a hand. Mike set in the center aisle. Projector tested, security at the door. I only need 3 minutes, I say, and a single slide with the totals. It's already copied to the house machine. Your USB stays read only. Rosa is in the second row on the aisle. She taps the seat beside her for my case. Breathe the way we practiced, she whispers. Slow, clear. I open the ledger to the page my wife wrote by hand. The blue ink line. 2,400 per month times 72 months equals 172,800. In the margin, the old pencil note, don't keep feeding a habit with money. I close the book and set it on the case. That's my memory anchor, not for the screen. The doors open and more people come in. I look up and see them. Colin first, black wool coat, phone in hand, eyes sweeping the room. Maya half a step behind him, pale scarf around her neck, fingers laced together. They freeze for a second when they see me up front. My name clipped to the speaker sign-up. Surprise flashes on Colin's face, hardening fast into a scowl. Maya stalls, eyes dropping to the floor, lips pressed tight. They don't greet anyone, not even me. They take the last row, sit shoulder to shoulder. Maya tucks the scarf up under her chin, turns her wedding band with a thumb. The room fills. A faint hot metal smell from the heaters. Chair legs whispering. A small banner reads, Community Forum, maintain order. No personal names. The chair lifts the gavel and strikes 3 times. The room settles. Announcements, he reads. Weather advisory, snowplow schedule, and finally public comments. First registered speaker, guest of resident Rosa Park, Mr. Art Monroe. Rick gives me a nod. I stand with a slim packet and the remote. Step into the center aisle. The mic sits right at my mouth. I drop it 1 notch. My name is Art Monroe. I'm here to file documents, not to argue. I press the remote. 1 slide comes up. 3 big black centered lines. 2,400 per month. Under it, 72 months. Under that equals 172,800. In the upper right, a green image of the postal card. Delivered, signed 5:41 p.m., the 27th. I've covered the rent and part of the utilities for 6 years. 2,400 each month, 72 months in total. I've stopped and set a 30-day transfer of responsibility. The postal carrier confirmed delivery day before yesterday. Tonight, the board has received 12 summary packets. I'm asking the community, when you read or hear anything online, please rely on documents and rules. I'm not naming anyone. I look straight at the chair. I'm naming the numbers and the deadline. 1 breath. I click to the second slide, just the bank receipt with date stamp and the word processed, beside 2 confirmation codes for the power and gas transfers. I don't add a word. I let people look. From the back, a chair scrapes. A man pops up, phone raised. I know that posture, that lifted chin. Colin. His face is flushed, eyes ring from lack of sleep. On his screen, the live icon spins. The viewer count climbs. This is elder abuse, he says loudly. He uses money to control. He abandoned his own daughter on Christmas Eve, then cut everything to humiliate her in front of the neighborhood. The chair bangs the gavel. Sit down. Public comment has an order. No personal names. No live streaming in this room. I have a right to speak, Colin shoots back. People need to know who he is. Maya tugs his sleeve. A small shake. She doesn't speak. She keeps her head down. Her shoulders tuck in as if to make herself smaller under the lights. From where I stand, I see her swallow. Lips tremble once, eyes blinking fast. She doesn't look up. You've just broken rule number 2, Rick says evenly, rising from the side table. If you continue, security will escort you out. I'll use my time when it's my turn, I say into the mic, voice flat. For now, I'm filing documents. Rosa lifts a finger toward me in a small signal. Keep your cadence, she whispers. I click to the last slide. No text, just a timeline. Day 0 to day 30 with today marked. I don't add anything. I power the remote down, set it on the side table by the mic, then hand the first packet to Rick. Hard copy with the digital, I say. USB is read only. A small bell rings to mark 3 minutes. I nod, step back, and return to my seat. Colin doesn't sit. He's making it up. He wasn't kicked out. He left. He invented those numbers to smear us. A woman's voice cuts in, not loud but clear. I'm Rosa Park, a resident of this block. She stands in the second row and lifts a single page. I'll say only what I've personally seen and heard. No more, no less. She looks to the chair. If I may. Please, the chair says. I won't name anyone, Rosa says. I live on the same row as the family being referred to. I have seen Mr. Monroe bring checks to the management office multiple times, and I've watched staff issue receipt slips. I note dates because I often help collect mail when they're out. And on the evening of December 24th, about 7:05, I walked by. I saw him standing at the door with a gift bag and a pie box. The door was cracked. I heard a very clear phrase, family only. The door closed. He turned away. No words, no knocking, no raised voice. That's all. The room goes still. The heater's wheeze sounds like breathing. I look down at my boots. The old scuff in the leather is still there. I raise my eyes. Colin stares hard at Rosa, then scans the room for something to grab onto. You're lying. I'll sue you for invasion of privacy. I'm stating what I saw and heard in the hallway, Rosa answers, standing straight. The rest belongs to documents and deadlines. Error, she adds, if you want to dispute it, file contrary evidence through the process. Don't threaten people here. The chair raps the gavel. No threats, no live stream. Any more violations and you'll be asked to leave. Rick steps 1 pace forward. Security steps a half. Colin looks down at his phone, kills the stream, stuffs it in his pocket. He's still locked upright like someone pushed him back. Maya looks at no one. Her hands clamp tight, her thumb presses into her palm, her toes tucked together under the chair. I watch her shoulders drop, like someone letting go of a breath, at someone else, or at herself. You have the right to submit written statements during office hours, the chair says. In this room, at this time, we listen and record according to the documents. A woman in row 3 raises a hand. I'm not part of this family, she says, facing the board. But I just heard Mr. Monroe speak in numbers and deadlines, not insults. I suggest the board review the packet and report back to the community. Let's not turn this room into social media. A salt and pepper-haired man adds, I read the notice board, 30 days, then let 30 days do its work. I sit still. My heart beats slow. My hands open and close on my knees. I hear each word land, like nails tapped evenly into a plank. The chair closes the segment in 2 clean lines. The board has received 12 packets. The read-only USB has been verified. We'll keep these in the record and respect the 30-day timeline. Anyone who wants to review the summary can schedule with the office. He pauses, looks straight at me. Thank you, Mr. Monroe, for the manner of your presentation. Rick lowers a printed receipt from an email onto my table. Internal acknowledgement, he says quietly. Your materials entered the vector log at 5:19. Chain of custody is intact. If anything happens outside, call this non-emergency number. Community officers will arrive in 10 minutes. Thank you, I say. I'm not looking for police. I'm looking for order. Rosa leans toward me as we sit. I'll be ready if they need clarification, she whispers. I'll say exactly what I saw. That's enough, I tell her. Thank you. The rest of the meeting moves through the routine items. Snow, post-holiday, trash pickups, ice scraping schedule. I note a couple of times, not because I need them, but because it keeps my mind on a steady beat. When the gavel falls to adjourn, the hallway heats up with bodies. A few people come over, not to ask anything, just to nod. One says a short line, let the paper speak, then walks on. I don't hold anyone. Colin stands off by the door, watching me pass. You won because you have money, he says, voice dull. You buy everything with money. Tonight I bought exactly 3 things, I answer slowly. A ream of white paper, a pack of folders, and a pen. The rest is 6 years this old man already paid in your place. If you want to speak to me, speak on paper. Deadline is January 26th, before 5:59 p.m. Maya stands half a step behind him. She doesn't look at me. She looks at her shoes, head slightly lowered, lips pressed. As I walk by, she draws one small breath. Not to object, not to excuse, just the breath of someone who's realized there are things you can't hide under bright lights in a room full of neighbors. Rick appears beside Colin, says nothing, just stands there. Colin looks at him, then leaves, his steps sinking in the snow. Outside, the cold slaps my face. I zip my coat. My hand finds the snow globe. I give it a small shake. Plastic flakes lift and fall, slow and quiet. Rosa steps out behind me. Halfway, she says. I know. I open the truck, look at the extra packets on the passenger seat, then at the small black USB. The other half doesn't belong to a meeting room. It belongs to time and an answer. My phone buzzes. An email from the Idaho Statesman. We received your 1-sentence note last week. Tomorrow morning we'll run a sidebar on financial responsibility within a family, with a link explaining how the community can submit materials through the proper process. I close my eyes for 1 second. I don't need them to call me right. I need them to repeat 2 words, proper process. Back home, I set the ledger on the oak table. I write a short line under day 2. The community has seen the numbers. The witness has spoken. The chain of custody is locked. I put the pen down, pour from the kettle, take a sip, quiet. In my pocket, the phone lights. A new text, not from Colin, from Maya. I want to meet, not to fight, to listen. I don't respond. Not tonight. Tonight belongs to the papers that just stepped into the light. I switch on the porch light. The snow globe sits beside the ledger, still as a small stone. I speak very softly. This isn't revenge. It's fairness in public. Then I close the ledger and end day 2. The rest belongs to the clock. 3 minutes were enough. 12 packets are on record. One truth has had its lid lifted in front of the community. I woke early the next morning. The kitchen still smelled like Mr. Coffee, the drip steady and even. I opened the ledger. Under day 2, I drew a thin line and wrote, awaiting response. Outside the window, the backyard lay under a skim of ice. I tapped the snow globe so the tiny flakes fell slow. Silence makes it easier to hear the wall clock. A text came from an unknown number. I'm counsel for the other side. We'd like to see the digital copy. I sent the read-only PDF link Margaret had prepared with a short line. This is the filed version. For anything else, please go through my attorney's office. Then I stood, washed the chipped white mug, and set it on the rack. Small tasks give your hands something to do. By noon, social media had quieted. A few old comments disappeared. Colin's post sat there, untouched for hours. I didn't open it. Rosa texted one line. They're too quiet. Might be lawyering up. I answered short. All the better. In the afternoon, Margaret called. They've retained Stonefield. I've received an email asking, is there room to negotiate? Her voice didn't rise or fall. Do you want to set opening conditions? I want three things, I said. One, utilities in the lease must be put in their names before the deadline. Two, retract the defamation in writing and post it publicly in the same places they posted before. Three, a signed acknowledgement of debt with a minimum payment schedule. We don't need the full payoff today, but we need milestones. And right now, I need a good faith sum by wire or cashier's check. No more spoken promises. Do you want to reduce anything if they hit the schedule? I want one door open, I said slowly. If they live straight for a year, pay their own way, don't call to ask even once. I'll consider wiping a portion of interest. The principal must be spelled out. I don't want them to mistake this for an open wallet. Understood, Margaret said. I'll draft it. The next day, the silent door cracked a little. Maya texted a very short line. I'm sorry about last night. I'll arrange to meet Dad. Not to argue, to listen. I looked at it for a moment. I didn't answer right away. At 9 sharp, Margaret sent the draft. Plain title, settlement agreement. It had the same 3 provisions I'd named, plus 2 of hers. No future disparagement, and no contact outside agreed hours unless it's an emergency. Day 7, conference room at Richards & Associates. The light had a blue cast. Outside, it was 24 degrees Fahrenheit. I arrived early. On the table, a carafe of water and 4 glasses. Margaret laid out 3 sets of papers, signature pens, and a box of tissues. The door opened. Colin came in first, black coat again, tie off by 1 notch. Maya followed, fingers still laced, eyes low. Margaret stood. Thank you both for coming. Today we're working on paper, not to berate each other. Colin stared at me without blinking. You made this up. You turned the family into a joke for the whole block. There's no block in here, Margaret said, gentle but clear. Only documents and deadlines. Maya pulled out a chair and sat so softly I almost didn't hear it. I looked at her hands. The polish had faded to a pale shade. None of the expensive finishes she'd favored. She drew in a breath and spoke, her voice thin as warm air from a vent. I was wrong. The room paused like someone had flipped the sound switch off. I didn't speak. I kept my right hand on the folder, the tooth of the paper under my skin keeping my cadence. I was wrong, Maya said again, this time looking straight across the table, not down. That night, the times before it. I thought things just came and stayed. She swallowed and pressed her lips together. I don't expect you to forgive me right now. I want to start by doing exactly what you asked. I have the utility deposit receipt here and the gas name change form. They required a new deposit. I had a friend wire me a loan. I'll pay her back. I brought a cashier's check for $2,400 as good faith on the first installment. As for the posts, I'll take them down and put up the truth. No blaming, no varnish. I'll sign. Margaret set the pen near Maya's side. The draft is in front of you. Read every line. Colin still wouldn't sit. I'm not signing anything. This is a trap. He wants us to admit to everything so he can corner us in court. Court isn't a monster, Margaret said. Court is where people take their files when they can't talk anymore. If you want court, we can stop here. Colin, Maya said softly, please. She touched the back of his hand, then pulled back. I've messaged everyone I asked to share. I sent apologies. I know words sound late now. Colin looked at me. Can you give us more time? 30 days is too short. I already gave 30, I said slowly, and this is only day 7. I paused one beat. But I heard what you just said. If you both sign today, move the utilities this week, and post the correction today, I'll agree to an extra 15 days to make the first installment beyond the cashier's check you brought. I want to see real effort, not lines in the air. Colin leaned back against the wall. Color shifted in his face like someone counting a stack that won't add up. I, I'll talk to my boss, he muttered. Maybe pick up extra shifts. And cut back, I said. Cut what isn't essential. Maya nodded. I've already looked for cheaper housing. 2 bedrooms is beyond us. I'll move us to one, near a bus line. I also applied for a part-time slot at Albertsons. I'll take any honest work. The room eased down a notch. Margaret drew a small tick mark and added a checkpoint. We'll meet again in 10 days. Bring utility transfer proofs, a screenshot of the correction post, and confirmation that job applications were filed. Mr. Collin, if you don't sign, I'll proceed with Ms. Maya. But understand, the defamation piece is joint responsibility. The correction must carry both signatures. Collin lifted his head. Only then did I see a little red around his eyes. He sat. Let me see it, he said quietly. Margaret slid the draft across. He read, not fast, not slow. At no future disparagement, he exhaled. I understand. He signed first, pressed so hard the paper dented. Maya signed after. When she finished, she opened her phone, removed the old lines, and began to type them again. I didn't watch. I only saw her trying to type with both hands because one still shook, and that she had to pause a beat to steady her breathing. They left with a thin folder and a list of things to do. Margaret stacked the papers into a hardcover. She spoke like she was reading my thoughts. This isn't victory. This is some order restored. I nodded, thanked her, and headed for the elevator. The doors opened slower than I remembered. That's fine. Slow is a rhythm, too. The days that followed were small news. A screenshot of the correction went up that same night at 9:18 p.m. Not long. No blame. One line apologizing to the community. One line apologizing to a father. A final line. All disputes moved to the legal channel. I printed it and clipped it into the folder. 3 days later, Maple Ridge updated the portal. Payers of record, Maya and Colin. New deposit required. I didn't intervene. I just filed the email. A week after that, Maya sent a photo of a new uniform. Dark blue polo, white plastic name tag. Albertsons, evening shift. I'm off at 10. I replied with 3 words. Do it right. Day 19, I received an envelope with a cashier's check, $2,400, as promised. I shot a short video as I opened it, only to preserve the chain of custody. I wrote in the ledger, Received Installment 1. On the 24th, the phone rang midday, the Maple Ridge landline. Deposit has been paid, they said. Names changed. I said thanks, hung up, and sat still for a minute. In that quiet, I remembered all the mornings I'd gone to the bank myself to draw cash before the deadline. That reel ended there. Day 30 fell on a Thursday. I rose early, same as ever. Boise was ice bright. I brewed coffee and let the drip do its slow work. On the table sat everything a month is made of. Receipts, screenshots, confirmation emails, the correction post, the signed settlement, the photographed cashier's check. I lined them up. Each item, a timestamp. I sat, opened the book, and wrote big at the top, Day 30. At 10:00 a.m., Margaret called. They just sent an additional small sum, marked installment 2. Not much, but it matches the schedule we amended with the extra 15 days. I nodded, knowing she couldn't see it. Thank you, I said. Let the calendar do the rest. Before I closed the book, I picked up the phone. A text from Maya. I'm off early this afternoon. I can bring the bills for you to check. I wrote back, email them. No need to come by. We'll talk this weekend. I didn't say it to keep distance. I said it to remind both of us that from here on our story moves by schedules and proof, not by impulse. On the night of Day 30, I walked one loop of the backyard. Thin snow hissed under my soles. The neighbor's porch threw a warm yellow. A thin scent of grilled meat slipped into the cold. I stood under the awning for a few minutes. Then I went into the kitchen, opened the ledger, and wrote one sentence, short and sufficient for me to understand. No revenge, no abandonment, just boundaries kept on paper. I drew another line under the word boundaries. Saturday, Rosa knocked. She stood outside holding two little pies wrapped in paper. Just back from the market. Apple pies were on clearance. She set them on the table. Are they doing okay? I asked. She's showing up for work, Rosa said. I've seen her greet the guard coming back into the complex, mouth saying thank you. He posts less. When I see him, he still glowers but says nothing. She smiled. In this world, some things only soften with time. I don't need them to soften, I said. I need them to stand. Rosa looked at the snow globe on the table. When it's all finished, where will you put it? I won't put it away, I said. I'll leave it there, to keep me from forgetting the path I walked. Near dusk, the phone buzzed. Maya. I asked for a 5-minute break at the end of my shift to call. I just want to say one thing. Thank you. Her voice didn't boom, didn't break. It was the voice of someone who'd stood 8 hours on a checkout line, talking while she consciously let her shoulders drop. I waited. She added, I'm not asking you to erase anything. I just want you to know I'm paying on my own. If I stumble, I'll message first. I won't hide it. I won't call at midnight crying and ask you to save me. I know gratitude doesn't erase debt, but it keeps people from writing the same wrong thing again. Do your work, I said. If you want to call Sunday afternoon. We'll talk like two adults. No demands, no dumping. Yes, she said softly. Sunday. I sat down and added one more line to the ledger. Sunday, 4 p.m. call. I dotted the period. I closed the book and set it beside the snow globe. For a brief second, I saw the house in summer. Sun pooled on the wood table. The chip on the mug's rim was still a scar, but it no longer stung. You don't erase scars. You live with them, and you use them to remember how to avoid the old blades. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about it in the comments. To hear the next story, click the box on the left.